Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Moor Society. This will be the first recording for the making of a Moor woman. Now, the making of a Moor woman is a special program. It's designed to engage females with anecdotes, views, and popular arguments about life, the life of a woman, the challenges that she faces in society, all the different political and personal ideas that's influencing the way young women view themselves and their place in the world. The making of a Moor woman is dedicated to communities within the Moor society, the African village, which you've probably heard about in the videos, the Moor Society channel. Then the African American Youth Organization, as well as the Foundation for Foster Children and Special Needs Youth. These three institutions are primarily focused where you have young women coming of age, and then of course the African Village, which is an organization completely made up of women dedicated to studying, exploring, and teaching women how to think, function, and live as responsible women and understand their life journey as women. Now, this will be the first recording for the making of a Moor woman, and it's primarily targeting young women who may not have anyone to discuss womanhood, who's never really sat down and engaged them and talked to them about it. This video is specifically the journey of the woman's life journey. Okay. The Moor Society holds that there's man and there's woman, that females are always women, that males are always male, that from the womb to the tomb, a woman is a woman. She is a newly birthed woman, an infant woman, a woman child, a pubescent woman, an adolescent woman, a young adult woman, a middle or late adult woman, a spiritually transitioned woman. Now, what we do is look at woman's life journey from birth to her 120th year. And we look at all of the changes, challenges, and phases that she will experience. And our goal is to engage the life journey of a woman progressively and proactively, to plan, to nurture, to educate, and prepare women for each stage of life as needed. So we would look at the life of an infant woman, and at the age of 4, a woman child, at the age of 10, when she enters puberty, the pubescent woman, 14 going to 15, the adolescent woman. Then we look at 18, the young adult woman, and so on. And our goal is to look at the heart, mind, body, and soul, the interpersonal development, the woman, her development as a woman, and see each stage what is necessary, what is expected from cognitive abilities, perception, behavior, psychology. The idea is to understand each step, put each stage of her life under a magnifying glass, and explore the 12 months of each year and get our minds around what our responsibilities are in preparing the life woman. You have a girl who is 13 years old. She needs to spend her 13th year reflecting on what life was at 10, 11, and 12. She should be making the most of her 13th year, but she should also be given prerequisites, information, that's founding information that's going to advance her to her 14th year. The idea is to address the cusp. If a girl, if a woman, infant woman, goes into childhood at 4 and becomes a woman child, what should we be doing at 2 years old, 2.5 years, 3 years, to prepare her for the life of a child? If puberty is 10, what should she be doing at 7, 8, and 9 years old in preparation for her 10th year? What should be taking place in her 11th and 12th year to reflect on her 7th and 8th year while laying the groundwork for her 14th year? What she needs to learn as a child to prepare for and make the most of puberty. What does she need to know at puberty to make the most of adolescence? What should she be doing at puberty and adolescence to make the most of her transition to young adulthood and so on? Now, for young women, you might have questions about the life journey. Well, one of the first things you want to focus on is that between the years of 17 and 25, these are ideal years for a young woman. So in the making of a Moor woman, we focus a lot of attention on this because the years between 17 and 25 years old are your baby-making years. These are the years when women, by the nature in which we were created, were birthed to be mothers. These are the years when her strength, power, speed, metabolism, sexual and reproductive development, or hormonal exchange is all at a peak. This is a time in her life when she is most likely to create and maintain the most hospitable environment in her womb for the development of an embryo and fetus. The discipline, the hard work, the labor that goes into giving birth, and the afterbirth, at this young, strong, and healthy stage, these years 17 to 25 are ideal to have the youthful vigor you need to run around behind a little bundle of energy, a little baby. This was meant for young, healthy, strong women. Now, at the age of 25 is when you're going to see your first major downward shift in your metabolism. That's why after the age of 25, you'll notice women get a little plump, a little thick, creases in their face, creases. Little gray hairs beginning to show. The metabolism is changing, which means how her body converts food into energy changes. Start eating pizza and stuff like that too late in the day. So finding yourself having a little heartburn because your body is changing in that way. That first downward shift is the first sign of major change. Now, at 25 years old, you see a shift, and then again around 31 years old, you see another downward shift. Now, when you talk about becoming a woman and different stages of woman, you want to know and keep in mind that by the age of 30, research has shown that the average woman will have exhausted her 90% of her ovarian egg reserve. 90% of her ovarian egg reserve. You have ovaries. You have so many eggs, all right, of those eggs, and those are so many of viable. You produce so many in your lifetime. The tests have shown that by the age of 30, you've exhausted 90%. Now, by the time women are 32 years of age, it is not uncommon for them to have symptoms of premenopause, especially if they have a poor diet or if they have a very stressful job and things of that nature. Now, at 31, 32 years old, a woman enters what is known as the midlife malaise. Between 32 and roughly 39, the midlife malaise. And this is when she starts seeing a lot of sporadic changes with her body. She might be experiencing symptoms of premenopause. These years, 33, 35, 37, these years are what the medical community regard as the danger zone for having children. You have the midlife malaise between 32 and roughly 38, and at 35, you have the midlife slump. Statistically, at the age of 35, giving birth to children, this is where you see a sharp rise in birth defects, as well as in children, but also a lot of medical issues with the women giving birth, from becoming anemic to arthritis and all kinds of things can start changing because you're talking about a danger zone, a stage in your life when your baby oven isn't warming up the way it used to. It's not maintaining its temperature the way it used to. It struggles to maintain that hospitable environment that's healthy for babies, that's ideal for procreation. Also, of course, as you can imagine at that time, if it's a danger zone for making a baby, your libido is going to drop. I once knew a young woman in her early 20s who had aunts in their 30s, and the aunts weren't having sex. They didn't have the same desire to have sex. And they were talking to her and trying to compare. And when I pointed out to her that the women she was talking to are old, no, they're old. They're at a stage in their life when their bodies are changing. So no, it's going to be different. Where a woman 21 years old finds herself with a high upward rearing, that engine, that sexual desire, that passion, that libido is hot and pumping. But that's because you're at a stage when you're supposed to be reproducing. It stands to reason that you're going to have your greatest sexual drive when it's best time for your body to reproduce. Now, women go through menopause between 45 and 55. Early menopause is 40 years old. Late menopause would be 60 years old. But women go through menopause between 45 and 55 years old. That's important to remember, especially if you're a young woman who aspires to go off to college, go off to grad school, and your life plan is to get married later on. Too often women they don't understand how their life plans are actually setting themselves up for failure. Now, if women start menopause at 45, then a woman who gives birth to her child at 27 years old, when she hits 45 years old, that child is going to be 18. So at 18 years old, you're an adult, you're going up to college, you're going up to the military, you're going to trade school, getting your own place. You're no longer a minor where mama have to watch over you the way she used to. Now, because of that, young women will often be surprised at women who say, well, I want to have all my children before the age of 27. Or I want to have all my children by the age of 27. I want to have all my children by the age of 30. Because, see, their understanding of a woman's life journey and their development is, if I have a baby at 30, then I'll be around 48 years old when they're grown. They'll be moving on just as the earliest time for menopause is setting in. Now, statistically, according to my reading, women in America, they go through the greatest part of the change regarding menopause at 51 years old. 51. Now, some women, when they go through menopause, have to have their female plumbing tended to. Doctors will go in and remove remove the ovaries and everything in order to reduce the chances of developing cancer or developing cysts that can grow and attach to different and just cause all kinds of trouble. This is quite common. But in the Moor Society, what we want to do is teach young women during puberty and adolescence to talk to women in the middle and later adult years and get some understanding of the experience. So much of what women will experience is biological. That means by you, at the age of 15, talking to your paternal grandmother, your maternal grandmother, and learning about their menopause, learning about postpartum depression, premenstrual syndrome, learn about changes in their body. Do they need, do doctors recommend hormonal therapy? Or do they suffer from osteoporosis or anything like that? Because if you're a young woman and you have a heads up on the challenges that your mother, your grandmother, your great paternal grandparents are experiencing, you get a heads up and you say, okay, well, if in my family brittle bones or osteoporosis is a problem, that means I need to start early in childhood, puberty, and adolescence, drinking milk, getting plenty of calcium and vitamin D, exercising and strengthening my bones, so that as you get older, you are least likely to have those troubles. So it's really important that as a young woman, you be able to talk to your mother and your grandmother and your great-grandmother. And it's important that years from now, when you're a grandmother, to know the importance of you sharing that wisdom, that information with your grandbabies, keeping everybody on point. Now, when you talk about menopause, when you talk about the midlife malaise, one of the biggest mistakes a woman can make is keeping these things from her man. You got a husband, he needs to be well versed in all the changes going on in your mind, in your body, and how your body's changes is going to affect your emotion and your attitude. When you going through menopause or experiencing symptoms of premenopause, and you're sensitive, you find sex irritating, you're sensitive to light, you feel weepy, you feel bloated and heavy, you're uncomfortable to the touch. But see, you have to communicate that. Your husband come home or your man come home and wrap his arms around you and you pull, don't touch me, don't touch me. Well, he don't know that you're going through changes. He think you're losing interest. You got to communicate that. And if you have to, when you get close to menopause, if you got to have surgeries, and that's not something you do alone. You discuss that with your man, you get him prepared, and y'all walk that road together. Don't be afraid to share these things with your husband, with your daughters, with your mama. Yeah, your mother. This is a very important part of you learning and getting a better understanding of the uphill road, the journey of a woman's life. Now, once a woman goes through menopause, her body returns almost to a pre-pubescent state. Less hair, changes between her legs, changes. Now, women still enjoy sex at different stages in life. They just enjoy it differently. So don't ever think that you somehow becoming less of a woman. It's the exact. You couldn't be more wrong. The truth is, you're more woman. As you mature, you get into a woman's mystique, and you've experienced and the emotional phases of a woman, and you've learned like a great surfer to surf those waves, and you develop those skills as a woman, and that's an amazing thing. It's something that more women need to share with the younger women. Now, the The purpose of this video was to lay out the map of a woman's life journey, because the other videos pertaining to the making of a Moor woman, okay, will be taking bits and pieces, picking it up, turning it around, opening it up, and taking a closer look. If you don't have a mother or father, if you don't have older sisters, if you got questions, then I want to do what I can to bring the information to you. Not just in terms of text, but also bring all the things we learn in tune with who and what we are in terms of our culture and ethnicity. To understand the history. It's history, that's right. Now the making of a Moor woman is its own channel. If you can, subscribe to it. Moor Society. That channel is specific to the organization and the Moors community, where the making of a Moor woman is going to target a lot of the subject matter and issues that you're going to learn more, that members will deal with in the African Village, and for the young women in the African American Youth Organization, for the young women in the Foundation for Foster Children and Special Needs Youth. Now, I'll be targeting different topics, controversial issues, and welcoming those who have a genuine interest in Negro culture and a genuine interest in the Moor Society. If it's not something that interests you, then please don't waste my time, okay? Yeah, if it's a comment section open, I welcome those questions and comments. And I'm really looking forward to working more and more with my future brethren. Other recordings will be coming out real soon. The making of a Moor woman. Our next topic will be, I'll just surprise you. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.